here's what nobody tells you about Claude. It thinks differently than ChatGPT. And once you understand how to use it, well, you're never going to go back. I'm going to show you how to write better emails 10x faster, create presentations, analyze data, build project plans, and automate repetitive tasks, all in under 20 minutes. Companies I consult already know how to save hours a day with Claude. So stay till the end to catch up. So let's start looking at how Claude thinks differently from ChatGPT. Here's a common task that I will do. So to create my newsletters, I love to talk them out loud. And I will create a really rough draft like this. What I want to talk about, it's really just a blurt out of my mind. And what I'll do is I will give it to AI to see what it can do. So here we can see Claude's approach. I said, can you fill in the gaps in the newsletter? Also make it flow really nicely. And then I have the newsletter here. What we can see that Claude did was it listed out the key changes here, but most importantly, it created this artifact or document. So I can open this and now I can see exactly how it edited some of my thinking, but most importantly, how I could formatted a lot of what I was looking for. On the contrary, if we go over to ChatGPT and look at the same example, I literally took the same prompt, copy to paste. Can you fill in the gaps in the newsletter, make it flow? I have it here. And what Chat did was exactly what I asked it to do, just like Claude did. But the difference that you'll see here is it didn't list out the key takeaways. It also didn't create an artifact. And then once we start reading the details of these documents and how it edited, we'll start to notice differences in terms of its style of talking. For example, in Claude, it kept more of the flow that I was looking for that was truer to my original draft and document. Whereas with ChatGPT, it added a lot to what I was already saying, made it a lot more lengthy. You can see here that it gave a lot more examples. And it's not saying that one version is right or wrong. It's just good to know that there are different styles in the way that it will give you a response. So what I like to do is think about both of these tools will give me a response and think really deeply through the problem. There are a few key differences and neither of them is better than the other, but you can choose which one you want to use. So for example, ChatGPT to me has a much stronger ecosystem. And what I mean by that is it has a lot of additional multimodal products such as video, voice integration, also image generation. I also enjoy its research a lot better. So it's deep research. I think it's super flexible in what it can talk about. And it's also much faster, in my opinion, than Claude. On the contrary, Claude's writing style is a little bit more natural and engaging, in my opinion. I think we're so used to seeing content from ChatGPT that when we see more content, we can just recognize it almost instantly. And so Claude has a more natural, engaging writing style from that standpoint. Additionally, Claude can handle really long context tasks or large PDFs. So if you're doing a deep dive into something and have a lot of documents to share, it's really great for that. I also feel that it is a lot more thoughtful in the way that it responds. You can tell that the ethics team at Claude have taken their time to really think through some of these examples and really the tone that they wanted to respond with. So I love to use ChatGPT for things like idea generation, quick answers, tool integration, and really use it for its broader feature set. Whereas for Claude, I really love it for writing, detailing large documents. I'm creating a really authentic writing style, so it's true to my voice in my first drafts. Okay, so to get started with Claude, it's super easy. All you're just going to do is go to claude.ai, and you can either continue with Google if you have a Google account, or you can just enter your email. And then what's great about it is they just send you a link, and you don't even have to create a login, and you can simply just click the link. So once you have your link, it will take you our typical login page. Just like other models, you'll have your prompt feature, and then you can also choose the different type of model that you want to work with. Right now, I'm currently just on the free version because I want to show you what that looks like to work with. You're going to be using Claude 4.5. This is really great for like everyday tasks. And then you have Haiku, which is like their faster model. If you want to do some deep thinking and deep research, you can use Opus 4.5. This is also what most people are using for coding as well. But if you just want to get started, starting with Sonnet is more than enough. In addition, we can also add files, take screenshots, search the web. What I love, again, because I talked about how the writing style is much more unique in Claude, is you can easily then select the type of writing style you want. So here, something that we don't see in Gemini or Chat or Grok, where we can easily select the different writing style. What a lot of people love to use though is over on the left-hand side, and it's called projects. And so what a project is if you're working consistently in a particular space, you have to upload a lot of reference docs and a lot of files. Then what you can do is start by creating a new project, give it a name, social media editor, tell it a little bit more about what I want to achieve. And then this is where things get really interesting. So what I can do, since this is a social media editor, I can have it upload files. Maybe I would upload different examples from past posts that I have that went viral. I could also connect it to different tools. So maybe I just want to have it connect directly to my Apple Notes. This is where I draft a ton of my social posts. So for me, that would be the easiest and the best. But you also have different enterprise tools such as Tableau or Airtable's MCP server, some really great tools that you can connect it to. So here we're kind of getting into the realm of agents. And the reason why we're getting into the realm of agents here is because we're giving AI access to tools, and that's one of the core components of using agents. So I think of the projects here like a mini agent, but for me, I don't tend to use projects in Claude. If I'm building an actual agent, I'm going to use something like NAN, which I've showed videos about before. Or if I'm doing a project, I'm probably going to connect it to my Gmail drive and use that through Gemini, which I've shown in other videos. But it does have this feature, so if you only want to pay for one subscription and Claude is your go-to, then definitely check out the projects feature. I want to go back to my previous example where I showed you how Claude writes differently than ChatGPT. And this was even from a post that I made and I started the draft. So again, with Claude, we tend to always get this artifact document. So it really separates out like what the output is versus what the prompt is or the changes. And so what I really love about this is it keeps it separate in two workflows. So it's not all just one block, which is a lot of times what we have in chat, right? It's like, it tells you, hey, Sadie, this is what you wanted. It gives me what I wanted. And then it, talks back and forth with me. This keeps it separate, right? It sounds silly, but that simple thing is kind of a game changer. And I can even make this smaller so my focus is here on my artifact or my document that we're working on. What's even more amazing though here is we have this publish option. So what publish does is it allows me to easily share this artifact in Claude's world and terms, but in like normal people's terms is really share this document with others. So I can publish and copy this link, and now anyone on the web can go and look and read this. So it just creates things to be super duper seamless, and most importantly allows anyone to easily get started. Even this is just with the free version. The other thing that's awesome about Artifact is there is a whole section on Claude that is just dedicated to Artifacts. So under chats and projects, I can go here to Artifact and I can see inspiration of other artifacts. So if I'm looking for different ways to get started, like this is just an incredible artifact here. You have a products requirements document, and then they have it changed to a prototype. Let me show you what this looks like. I wrote out this products requirements document today, actually, for a project I was working on for HMCI. So I'm just going to drag and drop my orchestration management platform PDF, and I can now click generate prototype. This is going to take a couple minutes. I'm going to come back to that. As I go back to artifacts, I can either use artifacts here, everything from creating an office simulator, creating QR code. I mean, simple things, but just make it super easy. But again, what is my favorite part is I have have all my artifacts here in one place. The agent or augment newsletter that I just gave you an example of, that's here. I was working on some different things for doing snapshots for data, that's listed there. All the documents that I want to find, it really just cleans things up a lot more quickly, because now instead of going through chats and finding like, where was that document and what was the final document, I have it right here. And it's just the documents. I don't have to go through the monotony of all of the trash that I have of all my different conversations. If you're realizing that Claude may be an AI tool that you have been missing, then it's time to subscribe to my newsletter, where I break down which AI tools you can actually use on a daily basis and will work for you. Okay, so it is finally done, and here we have an artifact that is not just a document, but an actual user interface that we can use as a demo. What's also great about this is some of the buttons work, so it's a functioning demo, and we see that the web page is responsive to us. We can open this up in a new tab, so we have just the artifact itself. But what we can see here is that it did a pretty good job of mocking up the wireframe. Now, I'm going to show you what I built with this using a different app. So taking that exact same product requirements document that I uploaded here into Claude. So I took my products requirements to prototype, and it did create it. But this is the same product requirements document that I created today with Lovable. So with a different app, you can see it's much more detailed, looks a lot better. I did break this up into sections. So for just a quick first draft, I think that the Claude prototype looks great as a first draft from a free tool. I just want to see how it looks to get started, and this is a great way to go. Claude has some really amazing features, but there are some limitations to it. Particularly, it cannot search the web. And so this is one of the things that stops me from using it. But most importantly, I don't want to have to think about when I need to switch in a chat from, do I need up-to-date information and turn search on, or is it okay for it just to use its brain and knowledge base? Second, it does have a smaller context window than, say, something like a ChatGPT. So if you're using a ChatGPT, you are going to get a lot more context from that angle. However, I love things like artifacts. I love the fact that I can go in and just easily see my documents, get to the final product so fast. So again, here we have my newsletter. I think that this just did a great job in keeping my tone and style how I want it, and keeping it to sound like me and not making it sound like a bunch of AI slop. So how I use Claude for HMCI and for my work is, if I want a free version, so I don't want to use all my credits for Lovable, I will give it one of my product requirements documents. I will have it create a really quick draft or quick prototype. Second, I really do like it for the writing style. I think it does such a better job in keeping things really crisp, fresh, and in my own voice and tone. Those are the two main ways that I will use it. Third is with Claude Code, and that is a complete game changer. In another video, I will go through what that looks like for each of you. So you just learned how to use Claude from someone who uses AI every day to build strategies for large organizations. While ChatGPT is great for quick answers, Claude is really great for thinking through those complex problems. But if you're serious about mastering ChatGPT too, I got a whole video for you breaking down 30 ChatGPT tricks that will make your work 2 times easier. Watch it here. And again, for weekly AI tool breakdowns, subscribe to my newsletter. I test everything out so you don't have to. Bye.